You're watching Inside the Zone.
And then there were two.
Two left.
Two left. 5 teams went into semi-state last week with a chance to make it down to Lucas Oil Stadium. 2 of them did. Bishop Dwenger, Bishop Luers. These are teams that are certainly familiar with making it this far. He's Justin Kitty. I'm Glenn Marini. As we talk Inside the Zone, state finals this week down on Indy. 1 game for us on Friday, 1 game for us on Saturday. But before we get into the individual matchups, which we will dive into deeply this week, it's what the people want. First off, are you surprised that these are the 2 teams left? And are you surprised how semi-state turned out? Because, as I mentioned, we did have 5 teams, and you thought each team did have a legitimate chance to bring home a victory and make it down to state this coming Friday and Saturday.
You know, when we get into semi-state, we have 5 teams, and we're like, oh my gosh, we could get 5 teams down to state, and then you just have to realize that by semi-state, you're playing some really darn good football teams, and unfortunately for Carroll and South Adams and Adams Central, they just ran into some really good football teams, and it wasn't their night. But I thought every team, win or lose on Friday, represented the area well. It's just sometimes you don't get it done. I think it's always a surprise when Adams Central loses, just because we're so used to just penciling them in. And in state finals, 27-game losing streak comes to an end. You know, we hadn't had a team from Adams County not make the state finals since 2019, so that's a little bit of a surprise. But overall, here we are. Bishop Dwenger, Bishop Luers trying to win a state title down in Indy this weekend.
See, I know this is a serious week because, look, he's brought notes. Normally, it's all stored up in here.
No, once you start talking about Cascade and teams like that, you need some notes.
You got some notes. So let's talk about that 3A game. It's the first game that we're going to see Friday at 3 o'clock. Bishop Luers, Cascade. Your early thoughts on this one?
Well, I started doing some research on Cascade. I was like, oh, okay, undefeated. They're a pretty good football team. And then I started looking into stats, and they beat up on Greencastle 98-13, and that's not a terrible Greencastle team. And then I'm like, okay, let's look at the stats. And they have a quarterback that's thrown for 32 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. And I go, okay, maybe they're just a pass-heavy team. And they have 2 dudes that have rushed for 1,000 yards. And I'm like, okay, maybe the defense isn't that great. And they got a sophomore that's has 30.5 tackles for loss and over 120 tackles. And it's going to take a really big effort for Bishop Luers after what they did last Friday, which was nothing short of extreme domination of Miles McLaughlin and Knox. It's going to be a very tall task. You could say, if anything, Bishop Luers has the edge in experience, with this being Cascade's first ever trip to the state championship. Yeah,
you look at Cascade and the offensive numbers. They scored 98 points in a game earlier this season. They're scoring almost 55 points a game, second most in the state, almost first, just a little, a point or two away from being able to do that. And the thing with Miles McLaughlin, as great as he was, they were fairly one-dimensional.
Right.
This week, you cannot rely on just one guy. You can't focus on one guy because, as you mentioned, 2 guys with 1,000 yards rushing and another dude with 863, plus a quarterback that's thrown for almost 2,000 yards. Like, they've got a little bit of everything.
Right.
It isn't easy to key on one aspect or one player this week if you're that Luers defense.
And it's a great point because it's just a very well-rounded offense. They run the wing tee, no huddle. They go up-tempo, right? They don't allow you to catch your breath. You look at what Brady Trebley has been able to do, completing over 70% of his passes in addition to throwing for almost 2,000 yards and 32 touchdowns. You mentioned the duo that have run, Lucas Farmer as well, the guy that's run for over 800. Combined, the 3 have rushed for 46 touchdowns. This is a very, very good Cascade team. And as you mentioned, when you had Knox, if you took away one thing, which was a very great thing in Miles McLaughlin, there was nothing else Knox could do. The problem with Cascade is they can come at you vertically, they can come at you running the football, and they're going to try to wear you out with that no-huddle style.
Let's talk about what Bishop Luers is doing well offensively, because as good as the defense was holding McLaughlin to 78 yards last week, the running game, those sophomore running backs, Brandon Gaither, TJ Epperson, 246 yards, 5 TDs combined. What do you like about these 2 guys? Because they're both over 1,000 yards now on the season. And, you know, at the beginning of the year, they're sophomores. You don't know what to expect. They're juniors, essentially, at this point in the year. They played 14 games under their belt this past season and have really allowed that offense to find its footing, if you will, over the last few weeks.
It has, and when you can control the football the way that Bishop Luers has been able to and moving the ball on the ground consistently, it allows Tommy Reichert, the sophomore, to then pick and choose to really when he can go vertical, because defenses are going to have to respect the run. They can't go all out to defend the pass. And then conversely, Reichert is just good enough right now as a sophomore to keep defenses honest. So it's a very balanced attack for Bishop Luers. My concern is if Cascade is good enough to really bottle up and contain that run, it puts a lot of pressure on Tommy Reichert in that pass game.
So a Herculean effort last week against Miles McLaughlin to get the victory, 35-0. I mean, I could see you picking Bishop Luers to win, but 35-0 was an impressive performance. Here's what the players had to say after that victory from the Luers sideline.
How determined was this team, was this defense to shut down Miles McLaughlin?
Yeah, we talked about it all week. We don't want anybody coming in our house and breaking record on us. So we were just locked in on practice every single rep, every single day, all week, like we always do. So that's why we go to state.
With you playing on that D-line, how did you guys set the tone at that line of scrimmage and make life difficult for Miles all night?
Man, we just did what Coach told us to do, executed, got off the ball, and that's pretty much it.
You guys were 4-5 after the regular season, but you guys have now won 5 straight to get back to Lucas Oil. Where's this team grown the most throughout the course of this season?
Man, definitely our offense. Our offense has gotten way better, man. Yeah, our offense has gotten way better. TJ, BG, yeah, they ballers. So yeah, they got a long career ahead of them. And our quarterback, he's gotten better. And yeah, we just O-line executed. Yeah,
for sure. You guys got that stop on 4th down in the very first drive. What kind of emotional lift was that for you to stop him right away?
It set the tone, man. Coach tells us every single week we got to set the tone. First play, first drive. So we went out there and did that.
For you guys, a lot of these guys, yourself included, were on that team last year that fell short at Lucas Oil. How determined is this team to take care of unfinished business next week?
That's all we want. It's state or bust for us. That's all we want. So we're gonna rest this weekend, celebrate, and go right back to work on Monday.
To come where you were, 4-5 in the regular season, to back to Lucas Oil, what does this mean?
I mean, it means everything. We work hard every week. I feel like the coaches always motivate us. You really can't do it without everybody trying to bind into the program. We have a lot of history here, a lot of tradition here at Luers, and I wouldn't want to play anywhere else.
To set the game on your terms with this running game today, just what can you say about the offense and how you guys execute it?
Well, it starts with the guys up front. I wouldn't be anywhere without my offensive line, and I feel like they just went off tonight, and thus making me go off. So I really appreciate what they're doing. I appreciate the coaches and just giving me a chance, and it's just the guys up front.
How much fun was it watching that defense ball out and shut down Miles McLaughlin?
It's a lot of fun, they spend a lot of time in the week getting me ready myself, so it's always cool seeing them just do their thing.
Coach mentioned job's not finished. A lot of these guys were on that team last year that felt that sour taste at Lucas Oil. How determined is this team to finish the job next week?
We haven't forgot. We've been motivated since week 1, and even last year in state. Nobody's forgotten. Everybody said we were going to be back, and we're coming for it all.
As TJ said, they are coming for it all, and this is a team that is I don't want to say hell-bent, heck-bent, if you will. This is a family show. As far as going back down there and winning a 3A state champions, it's something that we haven't really seen with Bishop Luers. And these guys, once you get that feel of being on that field and not coming home victorious, they are not used to that.
Yeah.
That gives them, I would think, a little bit of an edge, not just the experience, but the motivation as well.
It does, and it's a quick stop in 3A because next year they're going to find themselves in 4A with getting bumped up due to success factors.
Sounds like fun.
So, while we see Dwenger and Luers playing at state, maybe we could see them in a sectional next year in Class 4A. But looking at this matchup, Bishop Luers at this point, I don't want to say it's surprising that Bishop Luers is back at state for the 3rd straight year, but I do think with this team, when you looked at the beginning and said, wow, that's a lot of sophomores they're going to count on, you feel like maybe this is the year that they really get a lot of experience and come back next year. But with that immensely talented defensive line that they have, and we talked to Al Taylor just a couple minutes ago, is they've been able to put it together. But their biggest challenge, and this isn't always the case, their biggest challenge of the season comes in the state championship game.
All right, well, we shall see how it plays out. Speaking about Indianapolis, Monday afternoon, that's when the coaches go down to Indy and get a chance to chat with each other and talk about the state finals. Here is what Kyle Lindsey had to say this afternoon about his team playing Cascade at 3 o'clock on a Friday for a 3A state championship.
You know, first and foremost, they want to run the football. They do so with 4 kids between their backfield and their wings that can do a lot of damage from different looks. So it's unique. We don't see the style of offense all year. One thing that we can take and hopefully apply with confidence to this week is, discipline in our reads. Hey, you have an assignment, and your assignment isn't to look in that backfield. Your assignment is to look at, this guy in front of you. What's his block? How are you going to defeat that block? To see us execute that at a high level last week and then just be able to swarm the football and finish with physicality, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can take some confidence from that. But this is a completely different style of offense. You've got balance in who gets the ball. You've got balance in run pass. This quarterback, he's the real deal. Big, strong kid. He runs it well. He throws it well. He carries out his play actions as well as anybody. So we're going to have our hands full in that respect alone. But then they play with such a high tempo that you can't emulate during the week. We get our hands full a lot. Ball security, that's been kind of our Achilles heel this year. Ball security and pre-snap penalties and holding penalties have been, when we don't commit those penalties, we've been pretty solid. One thing we've done well this year is run the football. So, kind of like last week, we wanted to keep Miles McLaughlin off the field. Well, you do that by running the football. I don't think we threw the ball twice last week. I think we'll have to do that a little bit more this week. Knox had they had 7 kids starting both ways, and then the kids that subbed in were also starters on the offensive side of the ball. So this Cascade team seems to be deeper. They don't have many kids that see both sides of the ball, and the ones that they do are at their back end. They're aggressive, they're athletic, they're fast. But first and foremost, it starts with their defensive line, in particular their nose tackle. Number 55, Bentley McClellan. He's a load. He's a high motor kid. He fights through double teams so well, and then makes tackles. Fighting those double teams at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. So we're gonna have our hands full. Our offensive line's gonna have their hands full up front, and then their team athleticism and team speed getting the football is pretty impressive. So. It's gonna be hard to replicate what we did a week ago. It's both sides of the ball, totally different schematically, but at the end of the day, I think both teams want to be able to run the football. Both teams want to be able to stop the football. So who can do it better this Friday? I think ultimately we'll come out on top. It means a lot. This is our second year. We're making history, I guess, for the first time going back-to-back to a 3A state title game, but we've never won a 3A state championship. So, this would mean a lot for the community, for our players, first and foremost for our players currently that have never won a state title. We stress to them, even at sectional time, hey, don't take this for granted. You guys know this is not easy getting here. It's not easy winning. And we've had some fortunate plays for us along the way. We've had some luck along the way, but it's tough to get here. So. Winning one for these kids is what it's about. But ultimately, beyond that, the Lewis community be awfully proud of our first 3A state championship, and it'll be a lot of fun. But we got a long ways to go to get there.
All right, so Bishop Luers on Friday night, Bishop Dwenger on Saturday night. Bishop Dwenger taking on a Roncalli team that they are very familiar with.
So.
Played in week 1, it was a 3-zip game. It was 0-0 until midway through the fourth quarter. So a game we know both teams have good defenses, obviously,
right.
But have certainly changed a lot over the course and evolved a lot over the course of the season. How do you see this one playing out? What are your early thoughts on Dwenger versus Roncalli, part 2 here in 2025?
Well, you mentioned it, evolution throughout the season, and Bishop Dwenger gets shut out in week 1 against Roncalli, and they go the rest of the season with just one game being held in single digits, and that was that 9-6 win over Carroll. So the offense has come a long way since that week 1 game against Roncalli, and I think that's the key when you look at this one, is can Bishop Dwenger continue to command the line of scrimmage that they've been able to week after week, particularly the second half of the season, and really started getting some consistency out of that running game. You get consistency out of Henry Jordan, who threw 3 interceptions that first matchup against Roncalli, but has looked steadily more comfortable. So, you know, when you introduce a new offense and new tweaks coming into a season, and your first game is against Roncalli, it can be really difficult. But I think Dwenger's found its way, and it just needs to continue that grind offensively here in the state championship.
To look forward, we look back. Last week at Semi-State, they took on a South Bend St. Joe's team, which was a fairly similar blueprint in that they came in defense first. And, you know, I was joking with the guy from WSBT, our CBS affiliate. He said, first one to 14 wins this game. And this is a game about defense, and Dwenger was the first one to 14. Matter of fact, they're the only one to 14 in 28-7 win. Kind of set the tone with a blocked kick for a touchdown early in that game. What impressed you about Bishop Dwenger? What can they carry over from a game like that into a game where they're facing a Roncalli team that is a step up from what South Bend St. Joe did present this past Friday night?
Well, it's something they can take momentum in, not just from last week, but also the week 1 game against Roncalli, holding them out of the end zone. And anytime you can hold the Royals out of the end zone was very impressive. And you look at the weapons they have. Casey Piper, obviously, with the big play last week with the punt return or the punt block for a touchdown. But you throw in Houston Ellinger and so many dudes on that defense, and there's just guys at all 3 levels. If they can play the way they did week 1 defensively, and then have the offense that we've seen in the second half of the year, then you feel pretty good with Bishop Dwenger. But Roncalli has also improved over the 3 months since week 1 too. I mean, this is a team that lost by 22 to Chittard in the regular season and then beat them by 20 a couple weeks ago to win a sectional championship. So Roncalli is also a better football team since week 1.
And looking at Roncalli's numbers last week in their semi-state win, they rushed for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. That will be something that I know the Bishop Dwenger defensive coaching staff will be looking to stop, control the run game. Something that Dwenger has done very well this year, but it'll be paramount this coming Saturday.
It very much will, and Dwenger has played some teams in recent weeks that are very run-heavy, but you look at what Colin Ash has been able to do, the quarterback thrown for over 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns. He's rushed for 1,000 yards and 23 touchdowns, so a combined, 40 touchdowns for Colin Ash is not too shabby. So this is a dude that can beat you with his legs or his arm, and so he's going to present a unique challenge for Bishop Dwenger. Good thing is they've seen it already, but much like Bishop Dwenger is better, Roncalli is better. Yeah, and you mentioned their improvement over the course of the season. Just the 3 points in that week 1, they're averaging 33 points a game this season. Like, pretty well. Yeah, you start out at 3 points a game, and then by the end of the year, you're averaging 33. That's a pretty big feather in the cap if you're Roncalli. And that's the big thing in this game is I don't know how much we can glean from week 1 because these two teams are so much different. They're so much better. And that's, of course, what you want to see over the course of a season is your team getting better. So Bishop Dwenger's offense, yes, looks a lot better than week 1. Roncalli's offense, yes, looks a lot better than week 1. So, yes, it is a rematch, but I think both of these teams are a lot different from what we saw in August. Well, if Dwenger has a dominant performance like we saw this past Friday night, they'll have a good chance to bring home a 4A state championship on Saturday. Here's what the Saints had to say about that victory against the Huskies of South Bend St. Joseph.
Huge win for you guys. I mean, what is winning this one like for you?
It's just a good feeling for all of us. Freshman year, we all wanted to go. Sophomore year, a bunch of us are starting. In junior year, we just had a bunch of injuries, and senior year, we all came together and we can get it done. Did you go down today? And when you saw that, clock went down, and you're still winning on that one. Kind of, what were those first emotions like? Kind of, what was it like to, run around with teammates, see the students come out here? What was that like? I was just happy. A little bit of shock too, but I knew it was going to happen, and we got it done. Yeah, and a hard one. I mean, it's raining. It feels nasty out here. It takes toughness to win a game like this. Kind of, how proud are you of all of these guys to pull this one out? Very proud. Our own line, we kept through the whole game, and the receivers were catching everything, and the defense is stunning as usual. Okay. And I guess kind of what do you take from this game to, keep going into next week? How do you really use this as momentum? We just have to keep doing what we do, and we can win. Okay. Anything else you got? No, that's it. Go Saints!
Thank you. Okay, so my first question, huge win for you guys. Now you're going to state. What is the first excitement for you?
We've been looking at it since sophomore year. We've always been saying it. We've been looking forward to it our whole careers and just really looking forward to this and getting ready to work.
And, this is such a tough game, right? It's raining. It's disgusting outside. Kind of what did it really take from this team, and how proud are you of this team to really fight through that and also, just stay tough and come out with a win?
We're a gritty bunch, and I'm very proud of that. We all take pride in what we do. We all come out here every single day, same mentality, just killing the football and getting back to work after that play.
And how do you, you got one last week, how do you approach it, kind of what's the mindset going into this week? How do you use this one?
It's the same mentality, show up every day the same way you do every other day, and just get back to work, keep doing what we do.
All right, anything else you got?
Go Saints.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so first, Coach, huge win for you guys. Such exciting, everything you've got going on here. What are those first emotions like for you, watching this game as a coach?
Well, I'm just so thankful for our guys. We've preached for 2 years for these seniors. Just stay with it, embrace the process. Some people kind of fell off the bus, some people stayed on the bus. They just kept grinding, and we were hoping and praying that the season would go this way, and everything that we preached would come to fruition. And this game started with a ton of adversity. We had 4 starters out in the first, 5 minutes. One guy didn't come back in, injuries. Next guy up, next guy in, and we battled. Big play there with the blocked field goal, and these guys just hung in. They just want it more. They've just wanted it more. They're battle tested. I love them like my own sons.
And I know a lot of the seniors have talked about this one feels a little bit different. We've wanted this one since we were freshmen.
Yeah.
I know for you, does this really have any extra, to it? Yes, it's a special game, but, what else really does this one mean to you?
Well, it's a little bit surreal. Walked into a situation that only God could have provided on my first year coaching, and, we've grinded it out, and to get a chance to go back down there with another great group of guys. Just thankful to God, thankful to my family, all those that stuck with us, coaching staff. I got the best coaching staff in the state, and we just got a great group of kids. And so they're just taking us on a great ride. So we're going to head down there next week and see what happens.
I know I've heard you say it, a million times. I'm so proud of you guys. Your whole coaching staff has said the same thing. I guess can you touch on that? Where does I guess the same question, how proud are you of this group of guys for really pulling it out through the rain, through the cold, everything tonight?
Yeah, we talk about life a lot. This is it's a lot about life, this game, and overcoming adversity, embracing the suffering, staying together, trust, unity, toughness. And, we're hoping these young men learn these lessons so that they can be great husbands and fathers, and to see a lot of that come to fruition tonight and get a chance to be with them another week and go celebrate at Lucas Oil is special. That's why we coach.
Absolutely. Last question for you, Coach. You've got one more week of fun, also one more week of hard work too.
That's right,
so
that's right.
I guess how do you use this one, take the momentum through this week, and really, make sure you're putting your best foot forward when you head down there?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like we told them, celebrate tonight and tomorrow. These guys, they've got it on their mind, not only going to state, but trying to get the blue ring and bring back the big trophy for everybody. So they'll reset. I know they will. It's been on their mind the whole time. And then, as we said, providentially, I believe, we faced Roncalli, and that was a great battle first week of the season, and we were hoping we might get another shot. So God's allowed us that opportunity.
Yeah. Anything else, Coach?
No, thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the Dwenger fans that have supported us, and go Saints.
All right, Saturday, 3 o'clock, round 2, Roncalli versus Dwenger. If you're a Dwenger fan, how much are you looking forward to something like this? I mean, very rarely do you get an opportunity like this to play the same team in the same season and avenge a loss like this, let alone do it on the level of a state championship game like these Saints are going to have on Saturday.
No, it's absolutely huge, because you felt like after week 1 that, okay, you took a lot from that game. Now we got to refocus on the SAC and everything, and now it comes around, right? So you bookend your season with Roncalli. After week 1, you had some disappointment, and we'll see if Bishop Dwenger can put it all together and avenge that loss and get a state championship.
You want to know what's weird? We looked this up, and you probably could verify it better than we could. You think Dwenger and Luers and people across the state think, those guys go every year on private schools, this and that. This is the first year since 2011, I believe, that both Dwenger and Luers have made the state championship game together in the same year.
Sounds about right.
I know, but do you think that sounds right? That sounds crazy. That's like 14 years.
Yeah, right.
It feels like these are the usual suspects, if you will, but yet they haven't gone the same year. It's been one or the other, more like.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, you know, it's the third straight year for Bishop Luers, but every year it's a different group. You know, a lot of kids, even for Luers, are experiencing this for the first time, especially the wealth of sophomores that have had to play this year. Bishop Dwenger, it's been a little bit longer, but it's always a new group, new people experiencing it. So while we can look at the program and say, yeah, they've been here X amount of times, and some people can moan and groan, it's a different group each year, right? Some people are experiencing it for the very first time, and when they run out of the tunnel at Lucas Oil Stadium on Friday or Saturday, it's going to be every bit exciting, whether it's the first time, the second time, or whatever. So looking forward to it.
All right, and Jason Garrett was down in Indianapolis on Monday at the IHSAA State Finals Media Day. Here's what he had to say about the matchup against Roncalli on Saturday.
Well, it's funny. Coach and I were just talking, and he said, you know, we've kind of thought about it as just the fifth quarter. I said, well, yeah, I hope we get a field goal in the fifth quarter then, you know, to tie this thing up. Great team, great program. You know, just so much tradition with their school and our school, and so it's a blessing. I think it's great for the fans, you know, stressful for the coaches, but we're looking forward to it. We actually had a moment at the end of that game down there, and we said, you know, maybe we'll get a chance to, you know, go into this fifth quarter with them, and here we are. So we're looking forward to the challenge. That's a great question. It is emotional. It's a blessing, you know, for me personally, being back after my first year, and you know, you appreciate it a lot more, I think, you know, the process that it took to get back here. Our guys, you know, are so excited. One of our captains was actually ball boy in 2018, you know, so he gets to see it from the players' side this time. But it's been a great journey, and I'm so proud of this senior class. You know, as sophomores, they were, you know, going up against some great opponents, nationally ranked opponents, and we kept saying, hang in there, and the process will pay off. And, you know, then we go through the gauntlet of our schedule this year, and the sectional that I think is one of the best sectionals in the state, and so, you know, they're battle tested, and they're so excited. I told them this is going to be a memorable week, so we're taking it day by day, minute by minute. It's a veteran group, so, you know, we started 8 of those guys, starters as sophomores, going against the Mollers and the Brownsburgs and others. So, you know, that's a big part of it. They're veterans. Our defensive coordinator's done a great job simplifying the scheme. Their guys are just playing fast. I don't think there's anything we haven't seen, you know, and that says a lot for the guys that are out there on the field, you know, that they can read things and see things and play fast and play free. So, you know, that's where it starts for us. They've done an outstanding job. They've carried us. That said, our greatest improvement has been on offense, you know, starting with our quarterback, only in his 17th varsity start. You know, he's been healthy all season before that. Out the first game his sophomore year, out the second game his junior year. So I'm so happy for him. And then our offensive line has taken over, and obviously our coordinator, Jason Russell, and Coach Rubini with the line, just done a great job. And then just, you know, as does Roncalli, we have a very solid special teams facet. So, you know, we kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways. Looking forward to it.
What do you view as the keys to the game then?
In games like this, I think it's just going to come down to the simple things, right? Who wins the line of scrimmage? Who wins the turnover battle? You know, who can manage their emotions and things like that as you face adversity throughout the game. It's a different game down here. And so, you know, we're going to be talking a lot about that this week. So it's going to come down to those little things that big games normally come down to. And, you know, I hopefully, you know, this time around it goes our way. Yeah, thanks. All right, thank you.
Yeah, this time around, you know, last time around they were down there, 2018. It only went to 4 overtimes, and they pulled off the victory. I remember
that was an amazing game, right?
Into the end zone. Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, gosh, how long have you covered football here? This is like my 18th season.
Yeah, I started in 2001, so 25 years, 24 years. So that was that and Snyder's game at State.
Against New Pal, where it was the score
insanity.
fest. Yeah, that was wild.
Was that 64-61, I think the final was.
Oh man, it was just every play. It was just fun to watch, except for the fact that it was the late game, and we're like cutting highlights, trying to get down there at 11 o'clock. We're on, and we're like boom, 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 and it's like, oh no, here's the next play. And you're like, well, Okay, we'll put that one in too. But what are you most looking forward to about this weekend? We got about 30 seconds, 45 seconds to go. What are you most looking forward to about these two teams that have an opportunity to bring home a state championship to the Summit City this weekend?
It's always exciting anytime we get teams down to Indianapolis, and we talk about some teams getting down there for the first and second time. We have two stalwarts, right, getting down there with Bishop Dwenger and Bishop Luers, and unfortunately they're not on the same day. You'd like to see the two fan bases kind of root each other on from the diocese, of course, but. You look at Bishop Luers, and they got a big challenge against Cascade, and you have Bishop Dwenger who's trying to get revenge and knock off Ron Colley.